Hello everyone, welcome along. We are going to be ranking the most overhyped Liverpool transfers of all time. I'm Paul Machin. Alongside me is Chris Pajak.
Woo!
Steve Hoare.
Yay!
We are the Redmen. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's dive in. There are 4 categories with which we are to rank our players. The best it can be is buzzing. Buzzing! That's the top. Then excited. Excited?
Yay!
Then just a player.
It's just a player,
Just a
lad.
player, just fine. And then shrug.
I can't help but think you've got them colours wrong.
They were just the colours that tier lists. Come on, I fucking give a shit one way or the other. But buzzing's like hyped up, fire.
Is it angry buzzing?
Yeah, no, just like
Because Red's angry.
Yeah, but red's also like when you get really worked up. What colour does your face go?
Red.
Doesn't go green, does it?
No, but that's because I'm angry.
That's what I'm saying.
No, when you get like excited.
The Hulk? That would be a different question.
Yeah, I mean that's a different tier list altogether. Yeah, absolutely.
Is this
The Hulk's not shrugging on green, is he?
Well, he shrugs at anything. He's green with everything. Think about it. He could be made up. What colour is he?
He wouldn't
Green.
be the Hulk if he was just
He could be
shrugging,
shrugging.
though, would he?
What colour is he? Green.
No, he wouldn't be the Hulk.
He could be talking about just a footballer.
banning or
What colour
whatever.
is he?
Who cares?
Green.
Okay.
The green tier list.
To clarify, is this how we felt at the time they signed?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're trying to sell it as well about whether they are like pure hype. Because I think the players that you guys have picked, and you don't know each other's players, and I've got some wild cards to chuck in. No one we're picking here has gone on to be a rip-roaring success for
I'm going to do
Liverpool.
this how I felt at the time, how excited I was that we were signing this guy. And then we can talk about how shite they all turned out to be.
Sounds like a good plan, Steve. Me and you are on the same wavelength. That's exactly what I've
The
done.
hyped ones never work out, do they? There's a lesson there. Calm down, all your Florian Wirtz graphs.
Yeah. Let's genuinely, there is a rule of thumb as well, and maybe it'll come up in the wild cards. But I put this on Twitter. Let's stop making songs for footballers who haven't kicked the ball.
And
for us
banners.
yet.
Fucking banners.
Calm your tits.
We should follow this up with the ones that did work and where were we? Because I'm interested now to know where you would put Mo Salah in terms of this tier list.
Might be on it. You never know. Might be on the list.
It might be. He's not. Sorry.
That was a
spoilers.
bad... I was like...
Oh, for the algorithm.
yeah.
Stay tuned, because Mo Salah might be.
Will Salah appear? There's only one way to find out. Watch all the ads.
Listen to my giving it away 30 seconds ago. No, he's not. Right, okay. Steve, kick us off with your first player.
I nominate Fernando Morientes.
What a shout. I've forgotten all about him.
I remember when Liverpool, we were all thinking, oh, we just need that striker, we need that missing piece of... I mean, history repeats itself sometimes, doesn't it? And that kind of stuff. And then we go and sign a guy who, was absolutely brilliant, legends of Madrid, had been to Monaco, hadn't he? And helped them actually knock Madrid out of the Champions League, got them to a final. And I remember thinking in 2004, like, yeah, I can't wait till we've signed. He is going to come in and be the business.
Spanish connection as well.
Obviously, if I was ranking this one, I would be in the buzzing category. It happened, of course, it was midway through the 04-05 season. So Rafa had come in, realised he wasn't a massive fan of his strikers. I think Cisse had broken his leg, hadn't he, at that point as well, and Liverpool were kind of in a little bit of a mire. And they went and got Fernando Morientes, and I, spoiler, if it was me, I was absolutely over the moon when we signed him. It didn't turn out amazingly well, but he was like that level of superstar football. He genuinely was at the time, like an absolute icon of footy, and we got him. It felt like a massive major coup at the time.
Do you think so? Really?
I did, yeah. I thought exactly the same, yeah. I think, I don't know whether he was still at his peak when he came to us, judging by the performances, no. Would be the fair recommendation.
In hindsight,
there.
there's a reason we got him.
Yeah, listen, when he was playing up front with Raul for Madrid, that was like, they were special, the two of them, weren't they? So I thought he would come in and really make that shirt his own. Benitez understood how to get the best out of him. That was all lies. And he would just hit the ground running, and that was all lies as well.
I was interested to see how it would work out, but I used to always play as Madrid on Champ Manager, and Morientes was always one of the first out the door for me. So like Raul was the one, and at that time, so he got moved on, and he'd obviously Real had gone through. This is probably Ronaldo was probably playing for them around that time as well, wasn't he? In terms of replacements, and then Van Nistelrooy ended up there, and obviously Owen was there that that season. So I had a much lower opinion of Morientes. I was interested to see how it would work out, and it was a cool name. You
wanted us to sign Robert Prozinecki.
sure.
Championship manager references.
Yeah.
I looked the players on the consonants, and I wanted Freddie Adu.
I wanted George Weah. Like, what can I say on a free?
I remember because the reason we get Morientes, he has that loan and goes back to Madrid. He obviously wasn't in the plans, and then
Did you remember this, or did you just read this?
No, I remember that. Okay. They bought Michael Owen. So even he ended up getting himself knocked further down the pecking order. So it just felt to me like he's available because they've just got great players. That's what Real Madrid do. You can still buy Real Madrid's backup players, and they tend to be starters elsewhere. I was so excited. I was at his first game as well, and I remember it must have been Georgia. I remember I'm up front for Liverpool, Fernando Morientes, and the place went wild. I think he has one chance in the game where he spoons an header over the bar, and then over the net it was a bit underwhelming. But he felt like a superstar player for me at the time. I was made up. I thought, finally we've got that striker. Owen's left. We're not relying on the Milan Barros Gisbol Cisse combination. We've got ourselves a
we thought Milan Barros was outstanding around the time.
We just signed Gisbol Cisse. It was great Euros.
Yeah, absolutely. Milan Barros, before we cottoned on that he could only drop the shoulder and go right. That was a great move. That was his one move.
It was a great move.
Yeah. We lost that game against Man United, by the way, 1-0. It was a precursor to what was to come.
The Morientes thing, my overriding memory of him, I think we maybe play a game against Southampton in that yellow kit, and
is that the one that had the red stripes like that?
No, it was the 04-05 season. It had like a netting pattern on the shoulder. I think we played like the first qualifying game for the Champions League, or second one in that kit. Anyway, he picked up the ball and got on it and got his head up and looked, and then he looked down and the ball was gone. Somebody just took it off him.
That was his first away game. He learned quickly. Did
did not adapt to the speed of the Premier League quite as much as we may have hoped.
Such a shame.
He scored a good goal against Charlton, which kind of got the juices flowing a little bit. I had an absolute wonder strike. I remember I went to Watford away. I think it must have been the double-legged semi-final of the League Cup around that time, because we got to the final, didn't we, of course? And I'm pretty sure he played in that. I remember the away fans trying to get just all songs, trying to get like Mo Morientes. In hindsight, that was crap as well. everything just felt better at the time than it ultimately turned out to be.
So look, you two are both saying you were as buzzing can be. So we'll put him on the top tier for now. I was excited, but I wouldn't say I was like frothing at the loins with the idea of
my loins were frothed.
Okay.
Talking of frothing of the loins, can I nominate my player next? I mean, this is a lad who burst onto the scene at Wolves.
Oh my God! You know the story that your dad tells every Christmas, and you've heard it all before.
Goes to Coventry. Fantastic at Coventry. Moves to the continent, into Milan. He's tearing it up a little bit in Inter Milan, and then moves to Tottenham. He's a 1-in-2 striker. Liverpool unsettle Robbie Keane. Sign him for £19 million. Daniel Levy's fuming at Liverpool, if you remember correctly.
We tapped him up.
Because we tapped him up. Liverpool then paid him 19 million quid, had to apologise to Daniel Levy, and then pay a sum of money to the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation to recompense the fact that they've done this to Tottenham Hotspur. At this point, we've handed him the number 7 shirt, the iconic Liverpool number 7 shirt, and we've got a number 7 to be proud of in Robbie Keane. He comes in, the words that he uses on his first day. I remember this day. I've been a Liverpool fan all my life, going back to when I was a kid growing up in Dublin, and I always had a Liverpool shirt on my back. So to be here now as a Liverpool player is incredible, and I couldn't be happier. Then he couldn't break into the side, didn't score very many goals, and we sold him in January back to Spurs for 12 million, which is 7 million less than we paid for him. To say underwhelming, it's an understatement.
It's fucking outrageous, isn't it? Outrageous.
Yeah, it's just Rafa Benitez is dead weird, isn't he? Isn't Rafa Benitez just a weirdo? Like, he clearly... I mean, I spent a lot of time with the fella. He's a strange cat. And, like, just the fact that like.
Body of Liverpool.
No, I like him.
He doesn't sound like it's Nick.
He's a weird people are fine. You're weird.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I know, but like saying someone's quirky and saying someone's a fucking weirdo.
Chris is a weirdo. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, people are just weird. Like, why did he go all out to tap up a player? Literally pay money to him and then put him and go, don't fancy him. Like, just not for me.
Can we call it he did some strange things? Is that okay?
Yeah,
We'll call him a weirdo.
Both are true.
He's eccentric.
It baffles me.
His house is great though, isn't it?
Yeah, I play cricket the other day actually, and I could see his house when I was playing cricket.
You can see it from fucking everywhere in Wales and fucking England, mate. It's not big.
It was anyway, to go back. I'm trying to think how I felt at the Robbie Keane
Main stand.
Into the main stand and Benitez is fucking shadow.
When you want the Scouts live life, laugh fellas who climb over hammer every weekend. There's Rafa's house. You can see it from there with shining teeth. I don't remember being like overly thrilled. I remember it just being like, oh yeah, it was signing Robbie Keane.
No. But I mean, I had him on my shit, mate.
Chris, Chris had Keane 7 on the back of his grey Liverpool away shirt. What an all-timer of a shirt.
Yeah.
All-timely ruined by putting Keane.
To be fair,
I'm just the worst thing about on the back of his shirt either, but it's close. Obviously, you know, that was the last player name I've actually had put on a shirt myself.
I'm just looking now, to be fair, he gave him a chance. He didn't score till October, which didn't help his cause. Yeah. What was the plan? I can't remember the
played on his own up front against Arsenal, didn't he, in a game? Did he score in that one?
Yeah. That was the game when we changed half the team.
And we changed half the kit.
Red shorts, grey. Aaron's just gone through this with. He said it was a belter of a half volley or something. Yeah. I don't remember the goal personally.
I'm just looking here. Standard.
He remembers?
No, I do remember now. You got to look at Standard Liège. That was when we had to go through. We nearly got knocked out by them in the qualifiers. He plays up front. We had a front three that day of Dirk Kuyt, Fernando Torres, and Robbie Keane.
He was playing that
with Yossi Benayoun behind. How didn't we score loads of goals? That just feels like a team that should score lots of goals.
Yeah.
That was a very...
It's Rafa, a short blanket.
Yeah, Rafa, I love the short blanket, but the very Rafa thing of like, I'm going to make my team be more attacking by buying more attacking players and then it not working.
Was it just he had a plan for him to play with Torres and then just thought this guy can't play with Torres?
Well, the thing we had was Torres was the Torres problem. The Torres conundrum was he was your best of your best as a number 9, and then what do you do? What else do you do with that? And you can't get someone who's as good, so you've got to get someone who's a bit different. Keane wasn't quite that, but I don't even know what he was.
I always felt like he was trying to take over the Gerrard 10 role with Keane. That was the plan.
He moved Gerrard back.
Yeah, and it never really worked out like that, to be honest.
Anyway, look, I can appreciate that Chris was as hyped as he's ever been. Well, maybe, for a footballer. So I'm going to put Robbie Keane on the top for now. I've got a sneaking suspicion we might end up with a few up here. But
I wasn't that. I would have been excited.
I'd have gone with excited as well. I was more excited, weirdly, by the idea of Gareth Barry, which is not a popular opinion. But ultimately, we got Keane boxed. That was the most ridiculous thing, by the way. We boxed Keane, realised we had no money left, couldn't get Gareth Barry, and then that's where we put Xabi Alonso's nose out of joint. That's summer over all of that sort of mess, and then ultimately put all our eggs in the Keane basket, only to sell said basket back to its original purchase
for a lot less money.
For way less money.
After 6 months, not even.
Stupid.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Didn't even get to see the toss over that much, did we?
No.
Like
his celebration. Yeah. Anyway.
I've tried that. It's harder than you think.
Anyone who's seen us in Ireland will know that you've tried that.
That was so funny.
Like the pain you were in afterwards.
The fact that I got through the cartwheel and the rollover but couldn't stand up and just flipped back, like fucking rocked backwards. That was embarrassing. That was well worse than the one on the cartwheels. What was the bit that you failed? Standing up. Standing up is the bit that I failed. Any man in his early 40s will know standing up is way more challenging than it needs to be.
Incredible challenge. Steve, who's your next player?
I've gone for one who was a bit younger. I remember the buzz about us signing Karl-Heinz Riedle.
Ooh, yeah.
This was 90s, and this was like peak footy sticker, computer game, watching like every bit of footy in the world. Like it was back in the day what it was. He'd only just won the Champions League.
But Dortmund.
Big name. Literally.
Long name, big name, yeah.
Literally, and in metaphorically, well, footy. And the plan was...
Sorry, for people who don't get it, Karl-Heinz Riedle. Yeah.
Anyway, and then it was...
For the kids.
It felt like the plan was kick it long to Karl-Heinz Riedle, he'll win it in the air, he'll flick it on, and one of your quick strikers, a la Robbie Fowler, maybe Michael Owen, would get on the end of it. It felt like the perfect plan. Big man, little man, going back to that scenario.
Well, I mean,
he wasn't a big man.
Yeah, exactly. Karl-Heinz Riedle is about 5'9".
Big man in terms
5'10",
of
maybe.
Long name, quick
big
striker.
Man as in good in the air, flicks it on.
Brilliant
like
in
he
the
had
air.
a giant leap.
Yeah.
He got ups, hang time, whatever you want to say. If you
he had an incredible vertical leap, like George Costanza.
Didn't ultimately again.
Did he park like him though?
Who knows, mate?
You met him, haven't you? Recently.
I interviewed him last year. He's a really, really nice fella and dead interesting because, it was an interesting time to play for Liverpool because that summer Fowler's injured and it's therefore the summer of Michael Owen. Well, the next summer is technically the summer of Michael Owen, but summer 97, Michael Owen made his debut for us against Wimbledon at the end of the last season, and then obviously we played Wimbledon first game of the new season, and it's Riedle and Owen who were involved in that one. And you're right, Riedle, you know when you can watch the evolution of a football player, Owen became brilliant in the air. And I'm convinced it's Riedle who taught him how to do it because he was just, incredible leap, fantastic at using his body and getting himself in for the size of him. And, Owen's got some important headed goals for us. And I'm sure he learned that from him.
He was criminally slow though, wasn't he?
He wasn't fast again. He wasn't tall for a target man. There was
hype though. The fact that he come from the European champions and stuff like that. I think the fee dampened the hype a little bit. For me, was it like $2.5 million or something like that for Riedle? It wasn't a lot, and the age probably dampened it a bit. But this was football in the time when you weren't dead at 27 and you'd sign players still.
Yeah, and also we've signed a lot of like third choice strikers around that time. We've been through the Dundee and Eric Myers around that sort of time as well, of lads who just come in and you're like, the fact that he came with some pedigree meant it was much more exciting.
Was he before or well before Jari Litmanen?
Yeah, Litmanen was like 2000.
A bit later on, because he was another one I nearly choked. I love that Jari Litmanen. He was my favourite. But on the Riedle thing, it was meant to be. Fowler was like in the prime Robbie Fowler. Michael Owen was just about to break through, and it felt like the balance was going to be. You've got like the older guy who's just going to come and teach them how to do things, but then Fowler's injury really scuppers that a little bit, and he probably has to play. You say age 32 more than he probably should have, Karl-Heinz Riedle. I always remember that Wimbledon game because he's the one who him and Owen play up front, and he's looking around going, what the fuck have I signed for? You could just tell like, a couple of times he goes that big leap and he just gets absolutely walloped, and he's thinking, okay, this is a little bit different. In Germany I'll probably win that by about...
I'm a target man. It goes up against Wimbledon who were 11 target men.
Oh shit.
Target / hatchet men. Yeah.
Was it a couple of years removed from taking over Rush's role in the squad then?
Yeah, so Rush had gone to Newcastle a few years earlier than
was
that.
Was it like 96 when Rush went?
Yeah, maybe even just the season before that, to be fair. So yeah, that was his
role.
Mentor role within the squad, definitely. I'm not having that we can put him at the top of this, by the way, because I don't think
it was that buzzer. I just remember being like
excited.
I had heard of him. And when I think
there we go.
I think I must have been like 9 or 10, and we signed this lad who I knew had won the Champions League, and I'd heard of him, so I was quite excited that he was going to be decent.
Quite excited. Okay,
excited. He was on the expansion pack for CM2 for Germany, Italy, and Spain. We all had heard of him. It was great. Yeah, it was a good time to be alive.
Excited for
he sounds like he's going to be boss as well.
Yeah. So the Red Star Belgrade, and in the 90s. Yeah, they won a European Cup, didn't they?
There you go. Chris?
So for me, it won't be everyone's pick, I understand that. Like Bruno Cheyrou.
Ooh.
Bruno Cheyrou.
Yeah, no one's pick.
I tell you who was buzzing for Bruno Cheyrou. Gerard Houllier. We thought he was the best thing he'd ever seen.
Honestly, he says, Bruno has got great skill, good vision and an eye for a pass. I don't make comparisons with Zidane lightly, and I believe he can become an important player for Liverpool. Bruno has the same kind of touch and style that Zidane has. There's a lot of similarities between the two when they're on the ball. Zidane, at this point in time, was like him and Del Piero were the two best players in my eyes in world football.
He was French and bald. That was about it.
And Gerard Houllier had managed the French under-21s, was it? Before us.
Technical director of the French.
So he knew all about these up-and-coming players. He'd worked with the likes of Zidane and all that type of stuff. And you're thinking to yourself, this guy knows. We are getting the next Zinedine Zidane, and what we got, as you rightly point out, Steve, was a bald fella who wasn't very good at the footy.
What it turns out was Houllier really missed saying bonjour to people in the morning and them saying bonjour back.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be a lot of his signings were based on them being French.
Shit French players.
Yeah. Well, it's worked for Wenger. No, but what he also did was check that they were good players as well.
Do you remember like the Bruno Cheyrou like purple patch though, like the Chelsea goal? Like
It was two games.
Chelsea and Newcastle.
That was all of them. That was all of them. They were his 2 goals in his 31 appearances.
There you go.
I do remember them. I remember.
Well, this is it. It's happening.
And I went to the shit. I was at that Chelsea game, and he had a song as well. But I remember just singing at the time. I had never heard of him. I just presumed he must be good because I trusted Gerard Houllier and that he's French, and Arsenal won the leagues doing this.
Yeah.
So we're just copying what Arsenal have done.
It didn't turn out that way, did it?
He was
Unfortunately,
fucking
Rafa Benitez comes in.
He played up front on his own, I think, in that Chelsea game, by the way. Bizarre.
So Rafa comes in, he loans him out to Marseille in his first summer in charge, just takes one look at him and goes, no son, see you later. The next season, Marseille don't want to buy him, so Rafa just goes, we're loaning you out to Bordeaux for a season, and then he leaves on a free, I think, to
He created that trend of us trying to get rid of footballers and having to endlessly loan them out with no return. Well,
he was fucking crap.
Anyway.
He also was on the receiving end of that loads when he was at Napoli, wasn't he, Rafa? That's what he used to do. He'd loan you players on a promise to buy and never buy them. Like, just an absolute Harry Redknapp wheeler dealer, Rafa Benitez on the sly.
Yeah. I'll admit, I was, and I think probably excited by the Houllier.
It was the quotes.
Hype.
There was nothing about the player. I've never seen him play.
I remember the Cop magazine doing a thing when we finally sold him, and it had like a headline. It said like, "Liverpool finally admits that Cheyrou was not the next Zidane." Also in these revelations, Dean Saunders not the next Ian Rush.
Yeah, that's a good point, well presented.
The worst, don't call anyone the next. Because honestly, it's just impossible. It never works out. That fella was on an Iden to nothing. The second his agent should have seen that quote and been like, we need to go. Let's cancel this transfer.
Can I offer
now.
you Liverpool's summer transfer business that year? Bruno Cheyrou comes in on the 16th of May for 3.7 million. Eladji Diouf comes in for 10 million on the 1st of June. Alou Diarra comes in, never played a game for us. Patrice Luzi and Salif Diao.
Who'd have thought Salif Diao would be the one there that you think actually was all right?
Only for his Legends team performances more than anything else, I would suggest. But
it's a terrible window.
Eladji Diouf was probably, I would suggest.
Who did we get rid of?
Great shout. We sold
good players.
Well, we sold Nick Barmby and Yari Littmanen, if we give you a couple of examples.
I mean, I'd take them back and you can keep a couple of the others. Yeah. Factory of them.
Stephen Wright and Jurgen Nielsen. Stephen Wright had a good career as well.
Yari,
yeah. Eladji Diouf was the more exciting of that summer signing.
It had to have been, didn't it? On the back of the World Cup. We signed him before his price went up. There was big talk about how much we've saved already by buying him before the World Cup. Comes in, France-Senegal, was it, in the first game of the thing? Didn't they help them to a draw, or did they beat them 1-0? I can't remember now. It was a long time ago, but he was the player, wasn't he, that you think he could make something happen here. And he did make things happen. He made the dressing room worse and was a tit.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I'm not having...
And he's still calling out Carragher this week.
I know, what a prick. I'm not having...
Get over yourself.
I'm not having Cheyrou for buzzing, right? Come on.
You can't.
I shrugged.
Excited or just a player?
Just a player. I don't think... when we signed him, it was when the quote maybe could have bumped him up a little bit, but actually at the time, I was like, whatever.
I got too excited, but I think ultimately that category should be just a myth.
Myth of a footballer.
Absolute cock teaser.
Right. Anyway, right, you have both picked the same player.
Well, I know who you've picked.
I know who you picked. Spider-Man meme.
So, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, then say the player's name. Steve?
Okay.
3,
Naby Keita.
2, 1.
Naby Keita. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Again.
I will admit to being absolutely buzzing with this one, and I'll give you one reason. One of the reasons.
Everyone could tell he was good.
He looked amazing. But a mate of mine's an agent, and he did lots of work with like the Red Bull group, and he was basically saying there's no chance you're going to get him because you can't, they don't need the money and they love him and they think he's brilliant and they just play hard ball. I think would have been maybe Ranić at the time. I guess Ralph Ranić was probably involved in all that. Yeah. And they just, they'll have absolutely none of it. So when it finally got announced, not only have we got him, but we're doing a mad deal where we're getting him next summer.
So Liverpool.
Oh, so weird.
Genius.
So just a mark of absolute crazy genius from Liverpool.
Doesn't bode well for Mamardashvili though.
I don't think that's ever worked. We did the same with Origi as well, and he went from being this like young up and coming star. I think he won like the France Wooden Spoon Award the season after.
I have a theory. You're selling your car, but the fella goes, I'll buy it off you in 6 months. So you rag the arse out of it for 6 months. But in hindsight, the fella who was always injured for us, Leverkusen that year, we were like, not our problem. He just plays and
Leipzig.
plays. Leipzig, apologies. He kept getting red cards. I remember that. Like, it was like, is he fuming that he made him stay?
He was fighting with his teammates at one point, wasn't he? Because he hated being there.
We took it all as positive that he was that he kept kicking off, getting sent off. I'm furious. And we had a year to build this up. So Liverpool signings get overhyped now when we'll link with them for like a month. We had a year of watching YouTube for this lad. I worked in media at the time, and I had someone's job was to watch Leipzig games, to do like a Naby Keita report on the Leipzig games. He was on Heinz and on. He'd have had to be like the next Pele to live up to the hype that we put him under, because it was meant to be like, oh, he's gonna be number 8, he's the next Gerrard. He gave the picture of Gerrard giving him the shirt in the canteen. Oh my God. Again, we don't do ourselves no favours. We really don't.
That was, I mean, I was going to say on the Robbie Keane thing and how that 7 shirt was a little bit cursed for a spell, but that 8 shirt has been, like, I mean, because Gerrard's just looms so large on it. But yeah, the fact that they had, I'm glad it wasn't more of a ceremony, but it was far too much of a ceremony for what it was. The idea that, Gerrard giving him the shirt, here you go, my son, handing off this legacy. And look, we paid like 50 million quid for him, so there was every reason to be excited for it. But then I remember being on pre-season and he missed the game, and he was saying his back was hurt.
The flight hurt his back.
He'd hurt, his back became sore on the flight.
Can I make one of my overriding Naby Keita memories? And by the way, I thought he was a good player, and we'll speak about that in a minute. Was that when on his last game, when he got handed the photo frame and hurt his finger, when the guy passed it over to him. I was like, fuck, classic. They pass him the Champions Wall and he hurt his finger. I was like, this is perfect, absolutely perfect. He was really good, and some of Liverpool's best performances, there's an argument like that 22 squad was as good as anything we've ever had. It was unbelievable. And I remember, City in that semi-final with him and Thiago was in the midfield. I think I'm right in saying, like, bossing it, just absolutely brilliant. He just couldn't stay fit, and that was the such thing. Because I think he was a good player, but by the time he left, he'd done everyone's head in.
He's only 30.
Yeah, but he's obviously
no, but you know what I mean. Like,
now. He's obviously a dickhead though, because like he keeps falling out with all his clubs.
He's 30. Sorry, Steve. He's 30. Yeah.
We signed him really young.
Is he retired?
No, he's still playing. I don't even know where he is at the moment. But yeah, no, I think
he fell out. He went to Wolfsburg, didn't he?
Ferencváros is where
he went to Wolfsburg and fell out with them. I think he fell out with them as well.
Yeah. That's retired. Yeah. Where he's playing.
I mean, he's currently worth, according to Transfermarkt, at €1 million.
Mate, for me, I was getting into stats at the time, so it was August 2017 when we done the deal, 48 million quid. You're going to have to fluff it up for a year here, like there's no way I'm going to be ready to go when Naby comes in the door. And 48 million quid, like you're hard for a long time, aren't you? So you've watched him, he's been absolutely unbelievable. He gets into the Europa League team of the season that year as they get to the quarterfinals. He's absolutely sensational, like Steve said before. And he walks through the door and you're just thinking, we've got a transformative player here. All the news out of Germany, it was all about packing rate and packing stats at the time. It's freely available for Germany, and this guy topped the league in it. It was how many players he was taking out with, dribbles or passes or something else. So you're thinking transformative player, and he comes in, right, and I had to write these down because it's too many games to remember. He had 21 injuries in his 5 years at Liverpool. He missed 122 games over the course of his Liverpool career. He started only 49 Premier League games, right? God. To put it into context, he took 190 games in the Premier League to get 49 starts. Mo Salah did it in 51 to get his 49 starts. And this unfortunately, no matter how good he was, is who he was. Yeah. He was a 1 in 4 player for Liverpool. And I'm not talking goal scoring, I'm talking starts. He was 1 in 4 available for Liverpool over the course of a 5-year spell. It ain't good enough. He could really be talked about as one of Liverpool's biggest flops of all time.
I remember the West Ham game. He was excellent at his debut. He
set one up.
We finished the game on the left wing in that one as well. And we think, God, he's so versatile. He could actually spell a bit of Mane there if we need to.
And then it's Palace where he sets one up and it's like, oh, we've signed one. And I don't think the ability of Naby Keita was
anything. You're right. He was amazing.
Season because we signed Oxlade that one. And we the summer before
deadline day.
And there's a few players who we bought around that period, and we Fabinho as an example as well. Actually, who we didn't rush into the team. We like that. Andy Robertson takes a while to warm up into Fabinho, takes a while to warm up into the team, and Keita's in from kick one, minute one of the season, because it's like, well, this is how good this lad is. Klopp trusts him to go straight in. And I when he played,
no matter how long he'd been out for,
tremendous footballer.
He got injured
all the time.
The 3-0 in Barca.
Yeah,
and so he misses the final and misses that other semi. I can remember the video going around of him on one leg celebrating when he didn't even go because he was that injured. Couldn't even get on an airplane. It was such a shame. I actually think he was really good. It turns out he's probably a bit of a dick, which doesn't endear you. And then obviously, of course, it was mad. He didn't score. He was meant to be this goal scorer midfielder, and his first goal was that Southampton game in April. Like, it took him all that time to actually score a goal. It was bizarre. I think
there was win percentage stats whenever he played as well.
We always
were unbelievable.
Liverpool were better when he played. So I thought he was a good player, but I don't think if there was a category above buzzing on this list, everyone was, like Chris said, rock hard before. If there was a rock hard category,
fluff to fuck. I'm going to probably the category we're looking for.
Slide Naby into buzzing, because I'm looking rightly so. Why wouldn't you be? We spent a lot of money on him, and we had a whole year to watch him. And then even when he was out, we were excited, and he'd come back in. You get excited all over again. This is the one. This is the run, and then it would fizzle out.
We always have conversations about how different me and you view football, watch football. Naby Keita is the reason why I just don't trust stats. Stats can get to fuck. Because I don't
remember ever having that conversation.
We've always said, you're more analytical about how you watch footy. I'm way more just emotional about it. He's the reason I just don't trust him. Not having it. Snake oil. The stats people told me he was going to be like the next Pele.
But the stats people are the people who look at it and go, he doesn't play enough. Equally,
he should have. Why did no one do that?
Nothing happened until he got to us.
Yeah, but we're sort of ours.
Yeah. Anyway,
a fella getting injured on an airplane. Surely there must be like.
Was he sat next to Phil that season? Did Phil? Is that where the idea came from for him? I've got this idea.
Surely there's like a warranty period when he gets on his first flight, and has a sore back that you can send them back. Like, there must be a 28-day guarantee.
It's so funny, isn't it? Period. I think it's called in contracts nowadays.
We don't half get angry with footballers for being injured.
Yeah, it's his fault.
Yeah, I hate it.
Because it's mad. Because Daniel Sturridge used to get this all the time, and it's like, you
get angry at the ones who are good.
Yeah, true enough. But it's but it's always as though they choose to be injured, which they obviously don't.
Well, Jäger might have said. Actually,
I think certain players choose not to be injured though, as well.
Agreed.
Luis Suarez just wasn't injured. He just
now look at him now. Can't run.
He still plays. Still plays. He can't get out of bed.
He can't move.
He can't get out of bed.
He's just obsessed. That story of him getting a pair of boots that were 2 sizes too big so he could fit his swollen ankle so he could train. Naby Keita wasn't. He couldn't get on an aeroplane. Injured by an aeroplane and a picture frame.
This is not fitting me into a fucking Ryanair fucking seat. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's about this big as well. Yeah. He's loads of leg room.
I mean, we've had some weird injuries over the years because was it Stensgaard with the iron?
Yeah, there's all kinds. But yeah, it is worth remembering also that Naby Lad led to the greatest Redmen Christmas jumper of all time.
Naby Lad paid for this a little bit.
It's the studio that Naby Keita's expression paid for.
The idea was that a year before we released it as well. He was just fucking injured, so we didn't put it out.
Right, okay, I'm now going to inject some wild cards into the equation.
Jack, I want to see
what
fill me up, baby.
What you guys believe.
Like I'm a donut.
First,
like I'm a cream donut. Top me and fill
cream me like a donut. That's what you just said.
Not quite as eloquently.
Okay, now.
And it was Steve, not me. I was merely commenting.
No, I didn't. No. I did not say cream you like a donut. Rewind the video and just make it well known right now. I did not say that.
Full disclosure.
There's video proof and audio proof. That is not what I said.
Christ.
That was misinterpreted.
Right. I'm going to throw one out there.
Yeah, and in there, by all accounts,
Mario Balotelli.
yeah, pretty excited. Got to be honest.
Mario Balotelli, the mad bastard, has signed for Liverpool Football Club. Yes! Fucking right! Fucking Ali Sissoko, he should be 100 million more than Ali Sissoko. He's a bag of fucking balls, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Be honest. Did you inflate your hype to get onto the hype train of it all?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, and you did give it mega hype.
Yeah, I did.
I remember a signing video or something at Sky Sports News, and it was when the Ice Bucket Challenge was happening, and some fellas ran in front of the camera and poured a bucket of water over his own
So
head.
there was a lad who used to do our fan cams called Owen Hyam.
Oh, yeah, and he ice bucketed himself.
And he ran in front. Did he have "Why Always Me" written on his chest?
Yeah.
And he poured an ice bucket over his head outside Melwood. Oh, that is a level of hype, I think, beyond anything we've discussed so far.
That we were a desperate fan base.
Times were hard.
We just needed a striker so bad. It's like that dope. We just needed something because it was Suarez had gone right, and they thought they were getting Alexis
Was
Sanchez.
this the year our number 9 didn't score a goal? Like our strikers, was it Lambert? And that as well?
He scored like 2.
Yeah.
But like
in the league, though, I don't think we
scored at Villa Park, didn't he?
He definitely scored, but not many. It was more a case of like we thought we were getting Alexis Sanchez, and then he just looked at Liverpool and was like, "No, I'll go to Arsenal." And we were like, "Oh, running around," and apparently the story is that Rodgers got told it's Balotelli or nothing, so he just took Balotelli.
Well, it was Balotelli or Eto'o, if you recall.
Because he was on the move to like Everton and that one.
Well, Eto'o had just done the season at Chelsea and was nothing like the player that he could have been, or certainly was in his Barca days. So slim pickings is the and look, let's have it right. When you looked at Balotelli, and there's about a dozen clubs that have fallen foul of this since us, by the way. They went, look at the fee, it's not excessive, look at what he's done. Italian international, he'd had a good Euros recently. I think he played in the final, hadn't he, for
Sounds
Italy.
familiar, all this, Paul, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly. And he was, and obviously people could remember his impact for Manchester City, and you had the setting off fireworks stuff. The reality of Balotelli...
He was a big bore when he got to us.
He was a fucking massive bore. We didn't even have him doing it. He all of a sudden... He knew how to put bibs on all of a sudden.
Yeah, we wanted
he didn't
to get it wrong.
Fireworks, or he didn't throw darts at fucking youth team players.
We're not asking for much, Paul. We just want you to throw some darts.
Just fucking...
Fireworks.
Honestly, get a bowling ball and throw it at a youth player. Like Mario, that's all we were asking for. Just give us something to hang our hat on. And then he came out and said... the reason I don't celebrate goals is because, like, does a postman celebrate when he posts a fucking letter? To which the obvious point was, at least postmen actually post the fucking letters. You know what I mean? They can decide whether they want to celebrate or not because they are actually doing their job.
If they got a 10 grand bonus for scoring a goal, I bet they would fucking celebrate.
Fucking A, right. Yeah.
It was... Yeah. I remember thinking, like, because he'd been at Milan, and they were just fucking him off, and everyone was like, no, we just think there were so many red flags, and we just chose to ignore every single one of them. We just got like blinded by the beauty. This is how people end up in toxic relationships, because you just see how fit they are, and just forget to realise like, they've had 17 exes that living in jail
that lad does the rounds on the internet every now and again, who's got like the most blue eyes you've ever seen, but it's like a lineup photo, and there's rumours where he was like, he's in jail for sex offences, but loads of girls responding and going, but God, look at those eyes. Like, yeah.
Just Euro 2012 just blinded us all by how, because that was when he decided I'm just going to play footy properly. Yeah. Like he'd stopped like the pre-season at Man City when he tries to score the back heel and gets subbed off and fights, and then he goes to Milan and fights with everyone. How was that ever going to... What was the plan? Who decided him?
It was the no plan.
He was shit.
He was shit.
He couldn't even run, and then he has the conversation where like he told Brendan Rodgers he doesn't defend corners.
To be fair, Brendan never.
Yeah, true.
And like, here's the thing: was I excited for it? Absolutely not. Really? I was not. And you know why? I must have told this on a podcast somewhere. We interviewed Rafa Benitez not long after, a year after he'd been sacked from Liverpool, and outside of that conversation, we were just having a chat, and he was telling us about being Inter Milan manager and how basically he knew they could get an offer for Balotelli, and Balotelli was in the gym on the bikes, and he's like, boss, can I go outside and train? He's like, no, Mario, you stay on the bikes, keep doing your work on the bike, because he couldn't afford for him to get injured and then have this deal fall through because he wanted shut of him so badly. So I had that in my head the whole time. I hated all the fucking histrionics around him at Man City and all that kind of bollocks. He always looked like a kind of footballer who made it up as he went along, and some footballers, geniuses, do that, but actually you don't become a truly great player without having that plus the work rate. Suarez being the best example I've seen of that. I always thought he was a knob, and I was really annoyed when we signed him, but everyone was dead excited, so I wasn't excited. But in terms of the hype,
they're just like no win, no fee fucking solicitors, aren't they, those type of transfers? You think to yourself, there's no win, no fee. There is a fee. There is a fee, and you're going to pay for it eventually.
Else.
Okay. So
I wouldn't say buzzing from Balotelli. I would say maybe excited. What was you?
I was probably edging towards excited, if I'm being honest.
I'll put him in excited for a sec. From personal feelings, I think that just to play it or fucking whatever, but in terms of the actual level of genuine hype around him coming in,
there was loads.
I think there was more hype around him coming in than Morientes or Keane, definitely.
Agreed. I mean, I'm happy to go. I'm happy if it's a general fan base thing, then it probably was. But a man literally poured ice over his face. When we signed him.
He's in buzzing for now. Right, okay.
Good point, well presented, Steve.
Yeah. Next player on the list, I am going to throw into the mixer one Charlie Adam.
Oh, you know what? I was quite excited about this signing.
Yeah.
Obviously, he teared it up at Blackpool, hadn't he? He was taking all the free kicks in the corners, and they looked pretty good from a distance.
Which ironically is where he kept shooting from.
I felt like he was
how far away he was from the action when he had to run.
I felt like he was going to be a good player for us. I thought this was a shrewd move by Liverpool Football Club.
Do you remember how we were talking about that summer's transfer business? Because this was Kenny's first summer back, his first proper transfer window, and we were comparing it to 87, 88, because like Downing had come in and Charlie Adam, and we were trying to find like...
This is Hendo summer as well.
Yeah, you know, who's the Ray Houghton and who's the John Barnes and who's the this and that. And
God, we were doing this on Redmen as well.
We were literally, this is how long we've been doing this. We were probably sat in the back room in my house saying this nonsense out loud. But you know who did us? Alex Ferguson fucked us on this one.
His corners are worth 10
million alone. Yeah.
Liverpool tried to buy him in the January, didn't they? And it didn't. He was literally in the Blackpool waiting room waiting to get the nod, and it didn't quite pan out. I just don't think you can say you were buzzing to sign a Scottish player from Blackpool. No. I just don't think anyone would. But I do remember thinking...
But Liverpool needed Scottish players to win league titles.
That is something that that was also said. I love Kenny Dalglish. In hindsight, that transfer window wasn't the best that anyone's ever had. He obviously had this idea you need like this British core to compete in the Premier League. Charlie Adams did it.
It was. Do you know what though? Looking back on that window, like if you don't get Henderson in, then like do we scale the heights?
No,
you know what I mean?
Henderson makes it.
Or a captain. Like,
Henderson makes it palatable. Yeah. But barely, and even then,
it took a while to warm up.
And he didn't know what he was going to play. He tried to play him right wing. Like it was all a little bit all over the place. But
yeah, I suppose he ran funny, didn't he?
He didn't. He wasn't.
It was Ferguson as well.
Ferguson as well. But Ferguson, that was the thing that did my head in about it, because it was quite clearly Alex Ferguson being a twat. That's not like that wasn't a compliment, and everyone went, Alex Ferguson said his corners alone are worth 10 million. Yeah, I know, because he knows Liverpool want to sign him, and he wants people to pay more money for someone who's not worth that amount of money. It was all a game from Fergie. Did my head in that. How people took that as like, don't listen to a word he's got to say about anything to do with Liverpool ever. Never, ever, ever. Because even when it's a compliment, it's got some sort of underhandedness to it.
Which I'd say shrug. I wasn't that arsed about Charlie. I was buzzing for some other ones that summer, but I wasn't arsed by him. I didn't think he was that good anyway.
I don't think shrug.
Just a player.
Okay.
I thought it was a shrewd move, as I said. I was probably edging more towards excited, but if you're sort of shrugs and just the player, I'm happy for like.
Let's go just.
I'm happy for just the player, like.
Okay, sounds.
Because I think he wasn't he wasn't like transformative in any way. He wasn't supposed to be transformative. Kind of was just the player.
It was just he made Lucas Leiva. Lucas Leiva had a lot of criticism at the time. A lot of people didn't rate Lucas.
Did he still have long hair?
Yeah, this was the transition period, but to the point.
That's why.
It's to the point. It's a bit like how there were people used to like, be worried about us being embarrassing, and then loads of people started doing Liverpool content, and people realised we're quite moderate by comparison. So people who didn't like Lucas all of a sudden had Charlie Adam were like, God, Lucas is so mobile.
Yeah,
he's so sharp in the tackle. He's got a great eye for goal.
Why did he just keep trying to score from his own half?
Because that's what he had. Because it was the Molby effect of like he couldn't get closer to the goal because it required more.
No, he had one shot. He did get into the penalty area at times, and he hit the ball just as hard and high as when he was shooting from the halfway line. Charlie Adam, I think you'll remember.
Remember the penalty?
His penalty. It hit the moon, I think, was a shout on Redmen at the time.
Yeah, I do remember doing a graphic of the ball flying over the moon. Amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll put him in just to play for now. Stan Collymore?
Oh, levels of excitement that we've not yet reached here. Oof. I absolutely adored the signing of Stan Collymore. 8.5 million, British transfer record, mid-90s. There's no better time as a sort of 15, 16, 17-year-old to be breaking transfer records. You've got Robbie Fowler there already. He's teared it up for Nottingham Forest. I think he just scored maybe 30 in a season for them. Dribbled on the ball, was exciting, fast. I was just so excited, and I actually don't think he had a bad Liverpool career either.
He was fine. He was
nearly a 1-2 striker for us, I think.
It's worth remembering, and kids still do this, but you used to play, if you played one-on-one with your mate in the back garden or the park or whatever, and who are you going to be? You wouldn't be Liverpool a lot of the time because you couldn't both be Liverpool. So you picked teams, and you always knew enough players from another team to be able to get by. Forest was just one in that sort of era.
Steve Stone, Stan Collymore,
Stan Collymore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, Collymore was one. It was a go-to player that you'd be when you were playing with your mate because he was that good. I was made up with this, and it was Liverpool. We'd had a few years in the wilderness of obviously Man United. We'd have been winning titles and looking really good. And then, like, right, we mean business now. We're going to break the British transfer record. We've already got Robbie Fowler. We're bringing in this guy to play alongside him. This is the absolute dream team. And there's a number of really good moments, but one I remember, but I can't tell you who it was against. I always forget this. We kicked it off with Fowler and Collymore, and they back and forth it between each other up the pitch. And it ended up doesn't come to a goal in the end, but it fucking comes close. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is how good.
We only need these two to win the league. Sound like, honestly, you know what I mean?
So good.
What I loved about Collymore is he's a bit different to the forward players that you get nowadays and stuff. You'll remember this. You ever play ISS 64? Mm-hmm. Right, and in ISS 64, the computer game, you could just dribble from the halfway line and score because you had the analog stick on the N64 and you could jink. That's how Stan Collymore played. He would just run, dribble really well and smash shots in from left, right and centre.
He scored against Sheffield Wednesday. I think that might have been the first game of the season, or certainly it was his debut goal. And he just opens his body up and just picks out the far corner. It's an absolute world of a goal. And one of those where you're just like, oh yeah. This is it. This is the absolute.
And the Newcastle games, man. Collymore closing in. Yeah. I loved him, and I'm going to check his stats now because I think he was still not far off a 1-2 striker for us.
But we found out, Liverpool were a bit of an unprofessional environment. There were stories that he refused to move up to Liverpool, and he was commuting from basically Birmingham to get to training and all that kind of stuff. Like Neil Ruddock was very much in that squad, and there's a story about them rehabbing, and he was telling about like Ruddock was on a treadmill, and then the physio would go out and Razor would jump off and sit down and start eating a packaged butty and tell Collymore to keep Dixie on the door for him in case he came back, and he was like, what is this? Eventually he goes to Villa, which was always his club, and then never really hit the heights again after that, did he?
61 league games, 26 goals, 15 assists.
Player.
Not a bad shout at all, really.
Yeah, I'm going to put him in buzzing because I think we were absolutely over the moon to sign.
He might be in better shape now.
I filmed with him last year. He's still, he
runs for like 2 hours a day or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's nuts. I've got two more
Unlike me.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you've had the runs for 2 hours before. Harry Kewell.
This is me. This is a bit of me.
Bit of you.
Bit of me, Harry Kewell. And the first brings to mind of Harry Kewell. This was, what year was this? Like, it was 04, was it? Maybe, no, but earlier.
2003.
So I'd have been like 15. I remember going out with my dad, and it was like one of those beer gardens, and my dad went out, and everyone, all the dads,
Coke, packet of crisps for
all
you.
all the dads would go out with all the kids, and I just remember one of my dad's mates about 5 in the afternoon. They'd all obviously been on a massive session, and he just kept going. Every time someone said something, he was going, "That's not cool. That's Harry Kewell." And it's because we just signed him, and I was like, he was obviously pissed that he forgot that he'd kept saying it because he thought it was the first time he'd said it. Everyone was absolutely buzzing. He might be top of the buzzing in terms of the hype that Harry Kewell had when he signed. People forget how good he was. He was meant to be like the next big thing. He was already, some classed him as like one of the best wingers in the world. He tore it up for Leeds. I think the whole city was absolutely buzzing when we signed Harry Kewell.
This was, because Leeds have been brilliant and they started to hit the wall financially. We got him for $5 million.
Absolute bargain.
And I remember the song at the time was "The Professor Was a Fool to Sell Harry Kewell," because they were owned by some professor or whatever at the time. We were over the moon with that. And it is also an example of the Daddy Cool song that is perhaps the most cursed song in Liverpool history, of course. The first person to have that, but that if you were going to get a name on the back of your shirt that summer, it was Kewell. That was like 7, Harry Kewell, huge sign, and from the Premier League, you knew exactly what you're getting. Left-footed as well. Is he going to play on the left-hand side and curl them in? Or, actually we found his better position was actually on the right, playing inverted, even though that wasn't quite a fit for what Houllier wanted to do. Terrific. He had half a season of being unbelievable.
He started really well, didn't he?
Got injured, and then basically in my memory of him, never quite got back to that, and all I ended up being was annoyed with him by the time he stopped being a player
for being injured.
Yeah, for being injured. Yeah, no, exactly.
Going off in 2 successive finals. People always forget how good his first season was. Like he lived up to the billing for the first year. It was hard for many Liverpool signers to do that. Harry Kewell was excellent for a while. He I think double-digit goals and a few assists as well. He was certainly as good as we thought we were going to get as advertised. Like I say, unfortunately, what became his career was blighted by injuries. A lot of people at that, he was like, it felt like everybody wanted Harry Kewell because he was £5 million. Leeds were skint. The whole world wanted him, and we seemed to beat everybody to the punch. I don't know whether it was what we'd offered him or whether it was wages or something, how we managed to get him. But he was
such a Man United signing. Yeah, to go and steal a really good player from a rival football club, and he had all that, the swagger. And just the ability as well. He was a very un-Liverpool kind of signing at that point.
I think Man United did pick that Leeds side apart a little bit as well, didn't they? Obviously, Alan Smith goes and has Rio as well. For me, that signing in sort of more modern day terms was probably a little bit like Bale leaving Tottenham. That's what I sort of felt like with Harry Kewell leaving Leeds and coming to us, that there would be comparisons to what Bale ended up doing. Yeah. There weren't.
We were in the market for a few interesting players that time. Bowyer was close as well around that time for us and never quite
there was a double deal for Bowyer and somebody else, wasn't there, I think, that was talked about?
If you score your first goal against Everton, it always helps as well.
Right, I'm putting Harry Kewell.
But mate, I will put him, honestly, I think the whole city, the city hasn't buzzed that much since Fernando Torres was playing for Spain in the Euros and everyone became a Spain fan. That was what the city was like in the summer of 03. Just everywhere was like the Harry Kewell. It was ridiculous. And everyone seemed to know for ages. Yeah. Like, obviously Twitter, but none of that kind of stuff. It was just like words of mouth that the whole city seemed to know for some reason that we were signing Harry Kewell. Yeah. And then it happened.
Back when everyone knew what houses were for sale, it was buying them.
Yeah, I remember that summer because I bought the away shirt that summer, and I didn't get a name on the back in the end, thank heavens, but it was between Kewell was the obvious pick and Letalek was the hipster pick.
Mate, every kid had Kewell 7, and I'll be honest, that first season it worked. I thought it was absolutely fine.
You dodged the bullet.
Did he give the shirt up? No, Smycer gave it up, didn't he, to give to Kewell or something? I remember now, yeah, because he was that desperate for it.
Mad
that should have been a red flag in hindsight.
Should have been. Right, I've got one more for you.
Don't be Joe Cole.
It's not Joe Cole.
Goodness,
I toyed with putting Joe Cole in here. Instead, I've gone with Thiago Alcantara.
Oh, yeah, come on. Just buzzing next, move on. Are you kidding me? He wins the league wherever he goes. He won the league 10 years on the bounce in his career or something. I mean, it was a guarantee we were going to win the league that season. We didn't.
We never. Yeah, I have, as a grown-up, I just don't feel the same level of feelings towards transfers as I once did. But this was a real throwback for me because just to see that a player of that calibre sign. Like,
is he the best player we've signed in the Premier League era? I mean, Florian Wirtz are going to argue with that, but like in terms of standing in the game, probably because Torres was the next big thing, and like Van Dijk and Alisson were up and coming players. Thiago, everybody just knew was world class straight away. There was no doubts about the ability or anything about him. He might just be in terms of like what people thought of him, just the absolute best. I can't think of many.
I think
Premier League era.
I think you're right. I think he's a footballer more than a general consensus thing. I would put him on a par with like a Xavi and an Iniesta, but I don't think the general consensus would be that he'd be on their level.
So I did this on Saturday Social during the season when I was picking a combined Liverpool-Chelsea all-time 11, and I realised you're going up against Chelsea. Had some great midfielders in that time, but I think I just think he's better than all of them. You know, he in terms of what he could do, but you're right. He just didn't do it in the Premier League, so that weirdly taints.
And when he did,
of him.
It was COVID.
Yeah.
And that definitely plays a part in it.
I think that's a great shout today. I really do. I can't think of, because you're right. Everyone else was, and even to Florian Wirtz, he's 22, so he hasn't got a proven pedigree to that level yet.
That's what I'm saying. He was awesome, and I remember. I mean, the song helped. Again, Kiss. But his best year was, unfortunately, was behind closed doors, so that kind of tainted. But like, he got in the PFA team of the year, didn't he? It like goes back to Chris's point. Footballers knew how good Thiago was because they all voted for him in that team. I remember that team coming out and like, again, rivals going like, how's he in that? It's a fix. I'm like, well, your players probably voted for him. That's probably why he's in that team. He, again, it goes back to similar with Naby Keita, really. When fit, and on a different level than Naby Keita, but he was miles better. Well, that game against United, when he just takes the absolute piss out of them, and just, I think Guy Neville, he says that, doesn't he? Like, he's having a laugh here, like he's making a fool of us.
The ball looked like it was on rails when Thiago had it.
And again, he scored a goal where no one can tell you whether it hit the ground or not. Like,
but I remember at the time, again, maybe looking back, COVID, we made us all a little bit mad, didn't it? And saying that maybe everyone was even a bit more buzzing because everyone was perennially online. Like that day when we signed Thiago, I think everybody
for a steal, like 29 million or something.
We fought all summer, hadn't we, with Bayern Munich to try and get a deal done.
We kept getting told he wasn't. We weren't buying him. Like, Liverpool categorically denied that that was some of the reports. They are not buying Thiago. You know, some of the journalists got absolutely diddled by the Reds there. Like, I don't know where this story is coming from. They're not buying Thiago. They all reported, and then
he's on my list of the best footballers I've ever seen play for Liverpool.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he's on there with Suarez and Gerrard in terms of like just
technical ability.
Yeah,
he's got to be, Paul. You're right.
He was. I think everyone was buzzing when we signed him.
Buzzing indeed. I'm putting him into buzzing without a shadow.
We've got a lot of buzzing there, haven't we?
Yeah,
right.
We are a very much a black and white football fans, aren't we? Like it's either one or the other. I'm either buzzing or I'm fucking angry as hell.
I don't know why I've put multiple categories on with these. But let's just quickly go back through it. Do we care to revisit anyone? Because right now, in our top most excited you could possibly be for a signing, we've got Fernando Morientes, Robbie Keane, Naby Keita, Mario Balotelli, Stan Collymore, Harry Kewell, and Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah, that's right.
I would argue down Morientes and Keane of them.
No.
I know they are your picks.
Yeah,
Should we just no? Okay, win now.
Well, that's one each.
Yeah. So no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay. Fair enough. That's it. Now I'm going to ask you definitively.
Who's that in the second row?
Karl-Heinz Riedle.
Just chilling on his own.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you guys definitively then, and this is, I mean, we've kind of aired a little bit to like some of the negative in this, but I think we've tried to accentuate the positive where it existed. Who are definitively the three most overhyped, and hype then including poor performance in Liverpool history?
Of them,
yeah,
Balotelli's up there because he did fuck all. Those are the ones at least did bits.
No, I disagree based on the criteria of overhyped. I don't think he was overhyped by people that really knew.
fan base overhyped him, no.
But that's not important. Gerard Houllier saying you got the next fucking Zidane is the manager of the football club overhyping the fucking player to the nth degree. Not some fucking idiots who watch footy thinking it's a good signing.
It's fair logic.
So Bruno Cheyrou.
It's got to be. You've compared him with the best ever, pretty much.
You can't call someone the new Zidane and then say he wasn't overhyped.
Based on that criteria alone.
No, you know, it's an absolutely fair point. You can't say that. Lads, he's bald, he's French. That's it.
I don't say it lightly. I don't make Zidane comparisons lightly.
Don't say it.
But Zidane. I don't want to say he's as good as Zidane. But guys, he's good as Zidane. He's as good as Zidane. Oh my God. Okay, so Cheyrou definitely. I think Balotelli has to be in there because I just think that in terms of like that, the noise that was made around him being signed and how poo he was when he finally got to us.
Yeah.
I am reticent to say Naby Keita because I just get so much abuse online for talking about Naby Keita. Oh God!
Yeah,
because I bring it up, mate.
He was quite good. He was just injured a lot.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that when he helped us win stuff. Like you, and the reason on this list, you did mention Joe Cole before. Like he's in this mix.
I absolutely would have put him in shrug. I didn't like the signing of Joe Cole because I couldn't get over the Chelsea thing.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Again,
he was hyped.
He was hyped.
I agree with that. Like.
And then he was leaning against the goalpost at 40 minutes into his debut, and then got sent off.
I missed him getting sent off as well because back then it was pre-Redmen or during? Yeah. And
no, actually, no. I know it wasn't. It was one of the early seasons.
Was it one of the early seasons?
Very early Hodge.
Back then, I would go for a little pint at half time and I'd go for a piss, and I missed that. And that might have been there was a penalty shootout when I stopped doing that. That I had to watch through the fucking park window an extra time, and that's when I stopped doing all of that nonsense.
Anyway, so we've got Balotelli and definitely Cheyrou. We need one more for our definitive top 3 overhyped Liverpool signings ever.
Is there someone we're missing?
Is it El Hadji Diouf?
He was hyped.
He was hyped.
The World Cup got us all tickled our fancy, didn't it? Yeah.
I think it's got to be a combination factor of the money that was spent. It can be a consideration. I mean, there's a rare occasion when a manager basically.
Is Darwin in this mix, by the way?
Darwin might be. I was just thinking of Darwin.
I'm just thinking because of hype. Hype's never bigger than modern day social media hype and online hype. Again, all back to Harry Kewell, it was fellas in pubs and taxi drivers. Like now, hype is worldwide hype. I'd say Darwin's probably too good to say the most overhyped because he's had good moments, but the hype now is as big as it ever gets. So I'm trying to think of more modern signings where we all thought like, oh my God, Darwin's probably the worst of the recent ones, isn't he? And he's probably too good to be on this list, but I still think probably, I do have to say it's probably either Joe Cole or El Hadji Diouf.
Harry Kewell's probably in the conversation as well.
But I think he did enough good things to justify. Like, these lads were crap.
Can I just throw one more name in terms, because when I was saying like the manager hyping you up, Joe Allen.
Yeah, that was hyped.
The Welsh savvy.
That was a lot of hype.
That was senseless hype from Brendan Rodgers. And it's, I mean, clearly, if the cameras hadn't been on.
What about Markovic? There was hype, and I can say this now because I think we're past the point of betraying people's trust. I know from somebody who worked at Liverpool that Brendan Rodgers said when he signed him, we've got our next Suarez. 2 people who worked at Liverpool.
Wow.
That was the words that come out of his mouth.
You know what?
Don't worry about losing Suarez, we've got the next one.
You know what? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Well, listen, if that had come out, he's absolutely the most hyped ever. Thankfully, it didn't.
Brendan was clever. Brendan didn't do it in the press. He learned from the Bruno Cheyrou experience.
There was the documentary being made that time. Okay, well, listen, we've got 2 definitive. We'll let the audience decide the third. Who do you think is the third of the most definitively overhyped footballers that Liverpool have ever signed? Let us know on that one, please. Wow, there you go. That was
know the news. Go and check out all the Florian Wirtz content.
Don't give him a song. Stop giving him songs and banners. Let it be brilliant in pre-season, then do that.
And do not call him the next anything. The next never works. He is just Flow.
It's fine. Flow. Flow. Check my flow. Is that what he can say?
That sounds like an advert for
No.
feminine products.
There we go. Thanks so much for watching, for listening, and we'll see you with We Are the Redmen again in the future. Bye.